This full moon in Libra is about facing our relational fears. Libra is ruled by Venus, and she is in square with Pluto right now, the first quarter square of a cycle that started in January. So we are being tested right now in facing our fears, acknowledging our fears, walking through our subconscious hidden emotions and psyche, and breaking through anything that's holding us back from the bonds that we want to create, the harmonious connections that we want in our lives. Jupiter is squaring this full moon from Cancer, and Jupiter's message is about security, comfort. How do we find safety and family in our connections? These are themes that are going to come up for everyone. At the end of this introduction, there are a series of questions that I ask that are designed to help go inward and connect with how your body feels when I ask these questions. That can be an indication of what resistance and tension and fear might be showing up in your life around these topics, and which situations are showing up to help you walk through that and reorganize your internal feeling and emotional response to these topics. This introduction will get into all the detail of this energy and how it's going to show up. The sign by sign, check your sun, moon, and rising. That'll be where in your life this is going to show up. This full moon is at 12 degrees Libra, getting a square from Jupiter, who has been at 15 degrees Cancer for quite a while. The sun is in Aries, and this is the axis of self and other. When it comes to a Libra full moon, we're looking at which ways we are overemphasizing the needs of other people versus our own. There's something that needs to end or come to completion with relationships in our lives. And this could also be a moment of reflection and mirroring, where it's through relationships that we learn more about our own needs, about our need for security because of Jupiter's square from Cancer. This is going to be emotional security, prioritizing a sense of safety in home and nurturing. And if we're not finding those in our relationships and within ourselves, then this is a moon where we're making some adjustments in this part of ourselves first. That's where this connects to all the Pisces energy that we've just gone through. All of those conversations kept leading me back to what is the frequency inside of ourselves that we are attracting the world around us, that we are attracting the right relationships. I myself have been faced with the continued ongoing cycles of relationships that create challenges in my life. For a while, I thought I was free of them, but I think for that last cycle of Pisces, it all came back with force. And I think a lot of people are in the same boat, where we're thinking about what we need in relationships, how we communicate that, how we listen to others. Libra wants harmony, balance, love, peace, relationships. And it tips the scales of balance and harmony and love and relationships when it's leaning too much into the other to figure that out. What brings Libra into balance is the Aries element. It's thinking about self. What action are we taking that is feeding the situation, that's either helping or hindering the situation? I was inspired this week with an interview on the Jay Shetty podcast with Jefferson Fisher, who has just released a new book on communication. And I loved some of the techniques that they talked about in this podcast. So I'm going to link the video below if you want to check that out. But this is one of those moments where we have just finished a Mercury retrograde. There's been a lot of reflection in communication and energy and how we combine those two. And now that Mercury has been direct since March 20th, we're in that forward momentum of applying what we've been thinking about. And it's baby steps. It's small changes, but I love the tips that Jefferson Fisher gives in this video. So check that out. Communication improvements when we have a full moon in Libra can definitely be a path to improving our sense of security, chosen family, connection, closeness, all the stuff that Jupiter in Cancer wants. As much as this is a full moon in Libra, we are about to have a stack of planets in Aries: the Sun, Mars, Neptune, Saturn, Chiron finishing its journey here, can lead to a feeling of really wanting to take off quickly, have quick action. With Mars and Saturn here, we might have moments where we have to really reconsider the way that we use our assertion and our initiation into what we want to create. Saturn wants us to slow down and reflect, but in the sign of Aries, there's a need to just start and learn from the process of doing. And that's okay too. That's an important stage of development. And Aries is the toddler stage of development. It's learning how to walk by falling. It's learning by trial and error and making mistakes and picking ourselves back up. I can see this Jupiter square really inflating conflict, potentially with opportunity for very, very positive resolution, but activating the tension between me and we and the need for security. And keep in mind that whatever comes up, both parties, everyone involved, is really going to be coming from a place of trying to figure out their own sense of security, connection, belonging, and safety in the world. Safety and security is where Venus is in Taurus, and Venus is the ruler of this moon. So it's very overlapped what we feel, the desires right now that are going to be amplified for feeling secure physically in the physical world, emotionally with the people that we surround ourselves with, and any fire that comes from this Mars-Saturn conjunction in Aries. Keep in mind that people are coming from a place of being hurt. Absolutely everyone is going to feel a sense of not feeling the security and safety they want in this world. And it's going to throw us into a fight potentially for our own sense of grasping onto something solid. And the working place is going to be to realize that everyone's coming from a place of these potential fears. And I'm going to talk about Pluto's involvement too as it relates to fear at this moment. But there's a lot of opportunity for coming closer together, for nurturing that in ourselves and in one another, and finding communication and common ground on that Libra-Aries axis of me and we to create a world where we can, no matter what's going on around us, find a sense of security in the humanness, in the connection, that we're all walking the same path. We're all transmuting energy of hurt and insecurity and running from the tiger into a conscious choice to create more safety for one another and move towards things that do help the world feel like a safer place, not just focusing on what we need to run from, and not just focusing on what we might find lacking in our connections and partnerships, but what can we add to increase the feeling of connection. And that has to come from each of our own initiative. And I'll confess, I might be most guilty of that. I'm somebody who does recoil when I don't feel safe, and I feel safest and most comfortable on my own. And I'm speaking from that place of knowing that that's not necessarily the most helpful way forward, and it's going to be individual for each of us. But there will be something highlighted at this full moon where we have one tiny little new way to move into more connection and more of a sense of safety through that. Another very important piece at the time of this full moon is Venus in its first quarter square from Pluto. This is a new cycle that started at the end of January with Venus and Pluto, and Venus being the ruler of Libra, which is relationships and harmony and beauty and how we feel about our own beauty as a human. Venus in Taurus is more of that physical manifestation stuff, the food that we eat to nourish our bodies, the money we need to survive in this world, the physical things we do to enhance that sense of beauty in how we express ourselves. the beauty we find in nature and the simplicity in that. When it's in square with Pluto, Pluto is a feeling planet. It is a planet of the suppressed feelings that we have. It is fear that we can't actually operate with every day. So it has to be suppressed for us to function. It could be jealousy, obsession, possession, wanting to hoard for safety and security. And with Pluto, there's an element of the feelings that we're not acknowledging on a day-to-day basis. It's not healthy. It's not healthy to be in touch with our Plutonian side all day, every day. Taurus knows that better than any sign. Taurus and Pluto are actually in polarization. Taurus being the opposite sign of Scorpio, which Pluto rules. So there is a natural tension and opposition of safety and security in the practical world and acknowledging the reality of these shadow sides, which are our hidden feelings of that are real. They're there. The need to possess to feel safe, the need to obsess to create a plan, the need to feel fear to keep us safe. It's a very innate and important reflex in our system that we would not be able to survive without. We would not be able to continue on our Taurus, secure, enjoyable realm without fear keeping us safe. But the goal is to find balance in those, to find one more middle point. But a square is a moment where we feel the urge to take action towards that. So we have an idea of how to create more balance with our security and incorporate our feelings of fear and power struggles, power loss, loss of control. We need to ease into that sometimes and recognize the places where we really don't have control and the places then that we can feel empowered from facing those very fears. It's through walking through fears, facing fears with other people, facing conflicts and conflicts we might be afraid of. And it's through that that we realize we actually have skills to lean on. We actually have knowledge with Mercury going direct now. Pluto is all of these things, but it's in Aquarius. And it's shattering the old and making way for a new processing of feelings, a new integration. With Pluto in Aquarius, it's an ability to really observe what's going on at a psychological level and how that's affecting our own personal lives and our most important connections, our family connections, and our sense of safety. During this time, it could be helpful to ask a bunch of questions about Venus and Taurus. How do you feel in your body when I say the words abundance, security, scarcity, money? How do you feel in your body when conversations about money come up? How do you feel when conversations about the 1% wealth come up? How do you feel about really looking at some of the poverty that experience in this world and the true lack that people have? When you spend money, how does it feel? When you create a budget and you have to stick to that, how does that make you feel? How do you feel about your own beauty? How does your body respond when I say that? And nourishing your body and healthy food and relationships, loving, balanced, harmonious relationships. The feelings that have come up in your body with these questions are going to be indicators of where this full moon is giving an opportunity to shift that internal automatic reaction into something different. Especially if you notice fear, jealousy, obsession, or any of those other Plutonian topics come up when I say these words. That's what this Venus square to Pluto is. Observing that from a distance, observing our own body without judgment, and observing these words and these statements without judgment, but with curiosity and a desire to shift into something that is not based on the past dialogue that we've absorbed, but based on how we actually really value things in the world. What do you really value, and how much do you align with that when it comes to your assets, your relationships, your ability to create harmony, safety, security at a heart level and at a physical, financial level? Venus in Taurus is simple. It's not about it. Well, it can be about lavish things. Taurus does like comfort, and it's a creature of comforts, but it doesn't have to be. It could be about enjoying the spring blossoms if you're in the northern hemisphere. It could be about connecting to the earth and the ground and knowing that we always have an opportunity to do that most times, no matter what's going on around us. Unless you're in a meeting and you're in a high rise and very busy work building. But you know what I mean? You can hopefully take a break or go to that plant in the office and appreciate some of that Venus in Taurus simplicity. It's going to really bring us back to what matters in these topics. And I think it's grounding for relationships. It's grounding in knowing that there's simplicity in our relationships that we can appreciate, that we're all humans that are searching for a sense of security in our hearts and in our physical lives. And that's it. It comes down to these very basic human things that opens up more room for new ways of operating in the Libra parts of our lives under this full moon. So there's a lot in this one. Let's get into the sign by sign to hear how this shows up in your chart. Thank you so much for hanging out for this video, for subscribing, for watching, for chatting with me in the comments. It's so much fun to connect with you there. Have a wonderful full moon. Libra, this is a full moon all about you. This is an illuminating moment of understanding a new way that you want to operate in the world, a new way that you want to initiate what matters to you when it comes to your values, how you harmonize with other people. You're naturally gifted at harmony and balance and understanding what other people need to create that harmony and balance. But the apprehension in Libra is often about initiating. And this is all about that. It's all about integrating your Aries energy in how you initiate your own needs with other people. There's a strong element of your sense of security when you're in a position of leadership that is coming forward right now. How comfortable do you feel in the public image? How comfortable do you feel asserting things that are really important to you? And can you do that from a place that feels very Libran to you? You're a Libra, so you want things to still feel gentle and harmonious, and yet carry enough weight that it reaches the other person. The 10th house can be about leadership within work and career. And that's one of the places in life that we need to step into a role that is different than how we operate in our personal relationships. So for Libras, it could show up at work, but it could show up in one-on-one personal relationships as well, or both. There has been a lot of activity in your 6th house of work and coworkers and health routines, what you do every day and how you get things done and the energy that you get things done with. How much energy do you have? You might have had mixed feelings about that lately as all of these planets were touring through Pisces in your 6th house, which is a very sleepy, foggy place. So things may have changed in the last few weeks about how much energy you have to put into your work and daily activities. And now that Jupiter is direct and Neptune is in Aries, those are the two rulers of Pisces, you could feel a lot more momentum come back. And this is a wonderful energy for Libras who want to be more visible, who want to take on career shifts and work in ways that feed into the topic of nurturing, security, family, and being in a leadership position that could feel like you are the mother of a family. The 10th house is classically ruled by the archetype of Capricorn, which can be more of a determined energy in getting things done. It's practical, it gets the work done, it climbs the ladder, it can be in the successful ranks. When you have this flipped and you have Cancer here, there's a completely opposite element that you're trying to incorporate into achieving what you want out of life. And it's coming from a place of compassion and caring and sensitivity to the people around you. Your ruler, Venus, is in your 8th house and squaring Pluto in your 5th house of Aquarius. When Pluto is in square with your ruler, you're going to feel this more in a self way. Venus rules relationships and finances and all of those Venusian topics of Libra and Taurus. And Taurus is your 8th house of Scorpio and Pluto in psychology. So Libras out there are really going to feel this in a psychological, transformative way. It is probably going to be a moment of self-reflection and really illuminating a part of yourself that is holding you back from a sense of safety and abundance, holding you back from being visible in your career and taking charge in the way that you want. It's one of the pitfalls of Libra energy is that you can be so in tune with other people's needs, but stepping up into those positions of empowerment are not necessarily where Libra feels comfortable, not what Venus feels comfortable in. Venus wants to go with the flow. Venus is known sometimes as the lower octave of Neptune. And there's that quality of ease and flow and not creating any sort of resistance. Yet in life, we do need to go into those places sometimes of resistance, moving towards what we want, taking charge, taking action that's appropriate. And with Pluto, facing those emotions that we live with under the surface because they would create a lot of dysfunction in our day-to-day lives if we didn't suppress them to a certain degree. But when things come into our worlds that activate fear, jealousy, possession, insecurity, a need to control, a need to be submissive, a need to give in to power, we have moments where we get to work with that and we get to feel what is motivating a lot of our actions during the day that we don't realize. I was listening to a meditation from the well-known Buddhist Tara Brach this week, and she was reminding me that a lot of our actions are motivated by fear. We just don't think about it. We don't notice it. But we're driven by fear of lack of security, by fear of lack of connection, rather than moving towards genuine connection from a place of trust and certainty that that is what we can create. We have so many experiences, all of us. I don't think any human is free of experiences that have made us feel like we can't trust or made us feel like we need to be afraid of things being taken away from us, people, things, places, abundance, finances. And the brain is designed to hold on to those memories and prevent and protect it from happening again. But it's when we're operating in that fear-based energy that we might attract more of the same. And if we can work with our reptilian, mammalian programming that absolutely needs this fear reflex, we cannot live without it. It's just not safe. I've been looking into Panksepp's work lately about those core instinctual emotional designs. And one of the studies I came across was somebody who actually didn't have that ability, that reflex to go into fear mode, which actually happens before the cognitive process assesses whether or not the situation is safe. And it's this surge of adrenaline that kicks our cognition into analyzing and deciding whether or not we want to move forward. So we need to work with these Plutonian feelings. And for you, that's going to be connected to your children, fifth house topics, hobbies, fun, romance, dating, play, creativity. And in Aquarius, this is a moment of observing from a distance what goes on in your psyche and your fear-based programming that creates specific action in this part of your life. And what would it look like if you recognized some of the fear and the motivations that come from fear and the ways that we suppress it, the ways that we cover up, the things that we do, because this is happening in your first house. So it's who you are as a person and the persona you carry forward that is masking some of the fear and and operating in a place of protective mechanism rather than the Libra qualities that you want to operate with. So this Pluto in Aquarius is a psychological observing energy, and you're doing that with fifth house hobbies, fun, play, authenticity. You're going to be observing where you're feeling really authentic and where you are feeling like you're operating in protective mode. And that is what is going to be creating positive, beautiful shifts for your 10th house, how people see you in the world. Jupiter moving forward now, you might have more power, not in the Plutonian overtaking way, but just in a position of leadership and managing work in the way that you want to, managing your public image. Your status could change, and there could be some psychological changes that go along with that. You're going through a longer journey now with Saturn and Neptune in your 7th house of partnerships. And this is the month. April is when it all kicks off. Whatever's unfolding right now is a longer story of changing how your relationships operate. But this moment is really about you. It's about how you feel in your relationships, how you operate in your relationships. Are you able to be yourself? Or are you covering up with protective mechanisms? And you're going to see which ones are showing up. There are going to be the right people in your life right now that help you look at this. So no matter which experiences are unfolding for each Libra, think about it from that place, that it's an opportunity to see yourself from a more authentic space and to act in leadership and visibility out in the world from that place, to initiate knee-jerk, automatic, innate reactions from a place that feels authentic and chosen rather than reflexive, which for a Libra could be giving other people more authority, letting other people take initiation rather than finding that middle ground. And Saturn for the next 2 years is going to be a longer revision of that. If you want more information on Saturn and Neptune there, I will link some videos below. There's a lot more that I talk about specifically with those archetypes in your 7th house, Libra. But this full moon looks like a lovely opportunity for change, Libra. I think you're going to be feeling strong in your work, in your career, whatever direction that's heading in. It's going to feel more like you. It's going to have that Libra beauty edge to it. It's going to have that Cancerian nurturing element. That's how people are going to be seeing you. And you're going to feel more like this may be cheesy, but for a Libra, it just feels appropriate. This flower opening of more to offer, more richness in the shadow elements of the hidden feelings that we push down, and bringing all of that to the surface in this warm, harmonious way that only a Libra can do. And it looks like you're role modeling this to other people too. So any tension in relationships and career and visibility, there could be quick changes. But if there are any conflicts showing up, keep these things in mind with you're allowing more of yourself to come to the surface and opening up that Venusian flower. Thank you so much for hanging out for this video, Libra, for chatting with me in the comments and subscribing and supporting this channel in all those ways, the likes and thumbs up. It is all so appreciated. So thank you. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Scorpio, this could come on like a flash of insight. Libra full moon in your 12th house is something that was hidden potentially that comes to light with regard to relationships, with regard to how you harmonize with other people, create balance, how you create nurturing in your perspectives, because Jupiter is squaring this full moon from your 9th house of beliefs, what your overall perspective of the world is, what your perspective of a spiritual process for this world that we live in is. This is how you see the world based on your personal experiences and how that reflects a certain belief system because of what you have actually experienced. These themes of the 9th house are with a Cancer overtone, though, so you might be seeking experience to figure out who your chosen family really is, what feels like emotional safety to you. There could be a new way now that Jupiter is direct that you're figuring out a spiritual process that helps you feel secure at an emotional level. There's a lot of emphasis right now on your day-to-day activities, your health, your routines, your habits, who you work with, how you operate at work, and just routinely throughout the day is the 6th house where the sun is, where Saturn and Neptune newly are. Mars is about to join this part of your chart. And in April, it's all Aries. It's your work. It's your routines. How do you assert yourself in this part of your life? And it's going to be coming from a new mindset, a new belief system, perspective of the world, 9th house, and this full moon in your 12th house, a whole new level of intuition, potentially, connection to all things. This could be actual overseas places for some of you, and it could have to do with relationships that are taking you to an overseas home. There's more on home changes. I've been touching on this with Pluto in your 4th house, which is completely turning your home life and your inner world and the family where you came from and the ways that you operate because of them. That is getting turned on its head with Pluto, especially if you have any placements in Aquarius. So some of you could actually be relocating. This is energy for that because the 9th house is also about foreign people, foreign places. And these foreign relocations, movements to other places, help us integrate a whole new experience and perspective on the life. So back to Pluto in your 4th house, this turning over of home and inner world. This is another moment because Venus in its first quarter square to Pluto at the same time of this full moon. This Venus is in your 7th house, and what you value around partnerships and psychological connection is going to come to light. It could be about sharing a new intuitive connection with your partnerships, romantic or business. It could be more time alone, that you're dedicating retreat time and getaway time in your partnerships, and that is aligning with values that you're both deciding on together to nurture and have the relationship flourish. More of that harmony of me and we, it often comes from time away from the rest of the world, and that's the 12th house. It could be that your routine is asking for more breaks and more time away. Jupiter is also in trine to your 5th house Mercury right now, as Mercury is traveling through your 5th house, and Mercury has just gone retrograde in this part of your chart. If you want more on that, check out my recent new moon in Pisces video. But this is now Mercury direct, and creative writing, expressiveness in dating and romance, and authentic expression is on high right now. So even though this full moon happens in a very hidden part of your life, your communication is lit up, it's on fire, and it's really working in your favor right now. You've gone over some revisions, you know what matters to you, and that is now in positive connection with Jupiter in your 9th house, which could mean that some of you are teaching your creative material, you're teaching something that you really value, that's authentic to you, that matters to you. A new teacher could be coming into your life that helps you tap into more authenticity. And by authenticity, I mean an ability to be yourself in an unguarded way. That's the childlike 5th house. is that we do not need to be guarded and operate in a way to please other people, to fit into the group, to harmonize relationships. Those are the themes of this Libra full moon as well. We have protective mechanisms that kick in for survival of connection. These are so innately designed inside of us that they are hard to override. They are a reflex for survival. But when those reflexes go in overdrive of masking who we really are at an authentic level, we start to feel depressed and detached from life. We start to feel like life doesn't matter because we don't have purpose. We don't have that vitality and playfulness that children have, that zest for life just to wake up and remember that we get to finish off a game that we started the day before and face it with fresh energy and excitement. Venus is the ruler of this full moon in your 12th house of intuition and hidden places and hidden things and time away from the world. It's also the ruler of your 7th house of partnerships. And you have gone through a lot of reworking and remodeling of partnerships to break through what was tried, tested, and true, maybe not true, but the old modeling that feels secure, that maybe not, is what you've been going through with Uranus for the last 8 years approximately in your partnership sign. And as Uranus is leaving, and I'm going to make a whole other video about that for Uranus and Gemini, Venus is coming into this part of your chart, which is wonderful energy for enjoying your partnerships, for having that time away, that rest, that retreat, that pleasure back in your relationships. Doing something fun together with these 5th house energies now corrected, moving forward, refined. That ability to walk through life unguarded and more real is richening your relationships, and you get to start to feel the benefits of that right now. It doesn't mean that every day is going to be Venusian harmony and perfection, but you're going to start to feel that payoff. And it's coming from tough Pluto psychological work. It's coming from that inner family work that you've been doing to rewrite and reprogram the way that you were raised, to look at the fear that you buried underneath so that you could function every day. That fear could be family related. You might be facing fears of home, fears of actual family connection, especially while Jupiter was retrograde in your 9th house. You could have been going over those Cancerian topics, because Cancer's your 9th house, of what really does make you feel safe and secure. And in that process, because Pluto's in your 4th house, which is home and family, where Cancer typically is about uncovering what you're really afraid of, what you're really obsessive about, jealous of, possessive, wanting to hold on for fear of dying and letting go of what was. And I'm talking in energetic forms now, that when we're talking about Pluto, there is an inherent fear of death, and it's not real death. It's death of a self that was comfortable, that was known, that was familiar. And when we uncover some of those pieces, there's resistance, and we don't need to let them go and let them die off, but bring them into more conscious awareness. With Jupiter direct, we're nurturing the fear and other uncomfortable emotions that come through, and we're letting them come up to the surface and acknowledge that we have these parts that are afraid. We have parts that want to hold on for power and control and possess for lack of security. And we have a new cognitive ability to walk into a realm that's not motivated by these things, but listening to the very real past that we have had and taking that into consideration when we make action moving forward. So if you're afraid of changing homes, if you're afraid of moving, if you're afraid of moving overseas, if you're afraid of commitment and children and relationships or finances right now, any of those topics, you're looking at that with fresh eyes, and you're looking at that from a more intuitive place with this Libra full moon in your 12th house, you're seeing that that is an energy that you can work with, that you can choose to shift. So if you do really want to move, but you're facing fears of security, you're able to take the right steps forward without completely rocking your psychology and your need for stability. So overall, I do see this as new values in relationships, new ways of being able to enjoy pleasure in relationships, because you're facing your fears of home and family. You're facing the attachments and stuff that you haven't been bringing to the surface about the family that you were raised in, what you like about that, what you love about it, what you want to change moving forward. And this is a moment where your mindset's changing. This could involve teachers for some of you, but many of you, this is about subconscious work and changing your perspectives, because you have a whole new experience to add to the present moment and incorporate that too. I would love to hear from you, Scorpio. How is this showing up? Do you feel like you're facing fears? Do you feel like you have a new confidence and zest in this work part of your chart, or relationships where Aries is, and with Venus now in your partnership house of Taurus? So much fun hearing from you in the comments. So thank you for chatting there. Thank you for just being here. Have a wonderful Libra full moon, and I will see you next time. Sagittarius. Jupiter is your ruling planet, and it is squaring the Libra Aries axis where the sun and moon are. This full moon in Libra at 12 degrees in your 11th house, and the sun in your 5th house. This is a really wonderful place to have this full moon. Jupiter, your ruler, being in the 8th house, can amplify financial resources from other people, support from other people, psychological and suppressed hidden emotions. Your subconscious could come to the surface, especially as it relates to groups of people, your audience, how you have fun, how you are at your most childlike essence, which is when you are unguarded, when you're not layered up with armor of protective mechanisms of operating in the world in a way that makes sure and guarantees we get connection and money and resources and taken care of, and all of the things that we learn as adults and humans along our journey to function in the world. These are very important functional pieces, but they often cloud our ability to have fun, be ourselves, and express joy. A lot of Sages out there probably going to be feeling a lot better now that Jupiter is direct. In the 8th house, you might have gone through a lot of the psychological stuff that you've suppressed around what really does make your heart feel secure, what makes you feel like you're surrounded by family, chosen family, what makes you feel at home, what makes you feel safe. More safety than security, but emotional security is the theme in Cancer. In April, we have all planets direct. This is an exciting time for you with this full moon in your 11th house to be aligned with the people that have similar goals as you in life, new friends, communities, committees, audience, and people that really align with something that feels authentic to you. This is a part of your chart with the 5th house of authenticity and childlike play, that you have Aries here naturally, and that's why Sages are one of the fun signs of the zodiac, because Aries in the 5th house means that you have an instinct about play and fun. You default to that, and that's a wonderful thing. Most of you. There's going to be variations in everyone's chart, as always. But this part of your life is getting really lit up now with Saturn, Neptune, currently the Sun, the last few degrees of Chiron. Mars is going to join here soon. So this is the beginning of releasing something of feeling like you need to be part of the crowd, feeling like you need to be part of your audience to gain an audience, feeling like you need to do anything that loses your authenticity and your playfulness. This just makes me think of leadership, and Mercury's now direct in your 4th house, has just conjoined the North Node. So you might have a renewed sense of inner authority. renewed in a way that has transformed the way that you were raised to manage authority and leadership. And now with Mercury direct after these past few weeks of Mercury retrograde, you've done some internal revision of your home life, your family life, but really how your mind works and how you communicate because of those inherited qualities. Venus is in your 6th house. She is the ruler of this full moon. And for a lot of Sages out there, this relates to your health, your work, your routines, your habits. Venus in Taurus here is a wonderful energy to have to improve this area of your life. If you're looking to have more pleasure with the mundane stuff in life, with your routines, this is a transit that can give a boost to that. However, Venus is in her first quarter square with Pluto in your 3rd house. This is a deeper transformation of your subconscious and your psyche. Pluto rules your 12th house of Scorpio, so there's that extra layer of hidden realms for you as it relates to your communication. It could also be siblings, close relatives, community, your neighbors, transportation, but ultimately this is your daily mind, how you put your mind to tasks, how you learn, how you take in information. And there's going to be a shift of this could have a lot to do with work for Sages, and then you're changing your communication style. You're understanding that you have subconscious influences in your communication that are affecting your connection with coworkers or employees. If this is health related, then you are realizing that your psyche has a lot of impact on your health. And rather than changing health routines, that might just come easily with Venus and Taurus in your 6th house. But the challenge is reworking the psychology. I always remind myself in these situations that a square and a challenge doesn't mean we're doing anything wrong. It doesn't mean that we are making mistakes and therefore we have these karmic challenges that come after us. It's actually just that there has to be moments of friction to encourage us to take new action. Otherwise, it's really easy for our human design and default mechanism to just operate as we always have. It's by default. If we're comfortable, we just will. If we're put under a certain type of pressure and we really want to make the right move, then we're going to be looking at things slightly differently to make sure that we do a good job. We want to avoid pain. We want to avoid the Pluto feelings. So this is one of those moments. But rather than avoiding the Pluto feelings, Pluto is in Aquarius, so you're able to observe them from a distance. You're able to make sense of it. It's your 3rd house, so you're able to learn new things about your psyche and your subconscious. This is incredibly healing for Sages, especially with your healing ruler, Jupiter direct. Venus in your 6th house of health and well-being, and Venus brings more harmony and healing as well as just joy and pleasure. And then this Pluto effect on your psyche. This is deep transformation of your communication and mental habits that are going to improve these other areas of your life that I've been talking about. Jupiter is also in very positive aspect with Mercury in your 4th house. And since we're talking about communication, mental habits, this is a time where you are reworking your, again, mental habits that have been passed down though through family. Communication with family members potentially. So this could bring back to the 3rd house of cousins, relatives, close relatives specifically, and siblings. If any friction shows up right now, it is about transforming your psychology, getting more in touch with the parts of yourself that might be afraid, compulsive, obsessive, jealous, out of a need to control, to feel empowered. But this is a moment where you're integrating those feelings and bringing them into the present moment to see that you are empowered because of that integration, not because of needing to control anything else, your health, your routines, your employees, your coworkers, because of the 6th house stuff, or your family, because you do have family and home lit up as well. And Pluto in sextile to Saturn in your 5th house. So this psychological transformation, integration that you're going through and bringing fears to the surface and walking with them, befriending fears. It's adding to your ability to be more authentic, to be more real. And that's what's helping you connect with the people that really are on the same path as you, gaining more of an audience and just people you're connected to through work that might be supporting you. That is what is changing at this Libra full moon. That is where Libra is letting go of old ways of being, that we're creating harmony in superficial ways. And when you're creating harmony and bringing plutonic topics into the subject, and you're bringing up fears and you're making them very real and present, and yeah, it's going to be unique for each of you how you're connecting with other people based on these themes, whether you're exposing your psyche and who you really are in different ways or not. You're going to recognize other people differently, the communities that you're a part of, because you're going to have these similar experiences going on, even if no one is necessarily bringing that to the surface. You'll feel it. This energy with Pluto getting a square from Venus speaks to feeling, but it also speaks to the very practical observational skills, tangible security that we can create. It's not a very feely energy like we just came out of with Pisces in that way. It's more of a, okay, this is how it really is. What are we going to do with that? There's a lot of practical edge to make sense of things and put things into action that really helps benefit your security and your pleasure in the world and in your day-to-day activities. I would love to hear from Sages out there. Thank you so much for hanging out for this video. If you would like to book a one-on-one with me, my booking link is in the description below. Thank you for the chats in the comments. It really makes my day to connect with real people on the other side. So thank you. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Capricorn. This is a 10th house full moon for you. So this is all about your status, your career, your public reputation, who you are out in the world, how you assert your authority, how you stand up as a leader. This could be in career or just in general. There's a Libra quality that you are letting go of. So if you have been pushing for harmony more than what you need, if you have been looking for the approval of other people rather than stepping into an authority that really matters to you, that you value, this is where that's all about to change. Jupiter is now direct in your partnership house, so significant people are here to help you along the way. You're one of the signs that this full moon is hitting the angles of your chart, which are the most potent parts of the chart. So the horizon at the time that you were born and the highest and lowest point that the sun traveled on the day that you were born. The moon here is at 12 degrees in Libra. So if you have points or planets at this mark within 5 degrees, especially 10 degrees still counts. All Capricorns are going to feel it. There's going to be those layers of intensity that shift. So pay attention to the things that you are over harmonizing, over appealing to other people, creating harmony at the cost of what matters to you in a career, public image way. The sun in your 4th house with Saturn and Neptune, this is a time where your inner world can come out and shine into the public. So you're overriding who you should be out in the public, and you're showing more of what's really there. Venus is in your 5th house of fun, children, dating, romance, pleasure. This could be a better placement for Venus. This is a wonderful time to enjoy more of your childlike essence and feel unguarded in the world and who you present out in the public. The caveat is that Venus is in square with Pluto in your 2nd house of values, self-worth, assets, possessions, money. This is the energy that you put out in the world, the energy that you receive in some ways, though that's largely the 8th house. So we're talking more about how much or how little of yourself you give, how much empowerment you feel in your sense of self-worth. There could be situations in dating, relationships, fun and creativity, and even with your children that activate your shadow side, your psychology around self-worth and assets. For you, more than other signs, those questions in the introduction, towards the end of the introduction that I listed, how does your body feel when I say the words abundance, money, spending? What do you value? How much worth do you put in yourself? How intelligent do you think you are? Because this is Aquarius in your second house. If any of those words create tension in your body, restriction, a feeling of fear, wobbliness around security and everything else, then this is a moment where you're going to find out more about why those feelings are there, how they're holding you back, how you can bring them into a sense of integration so that you're not fearing those feelings, you're not fearing a lack of control, you're not fearing abundance and money topics. You're relating to those fears, you're being very real that they're there, but you can choose to have a different reaction in your body when those fears are brought into the light and integrated. And then rather than feeling like being in leadership or having authority is a sense of control over other people, which might make you feel uncomfortable because your value with Aquarius being the ruler of your second house, you value freedom. You value everyone to feel liberated. When Libra is in your 10th house, you value harmony over leadership even sometimes. And it's a bit odd because you're a Capricorn, which is the 10th house. So in general, the archetype of Capricorn feels more comfortable in leadership positions, feels comfortable going after what they want. But all of us and all of our individual charts are pointing to where we can create even more balance in all of those archetypes. So this is a full moon where you're going to notice any imbalances in how much of a Capricorn you show up to be. A lot of Capricorns don't fit the typical Capricorn archetype. You might, in some ways, you might feel comfortable with working, you have a strong work ethic, you go after what you want, but there can still be a deep suffering and restriction in Capricorn that holds them back. If it comes from self-worth, and I'm going to add that piece now because of Pluto in your second house, self-worth is a topic that will throw us all off of our balance on the archetypal axes of our astrology, of our birth charts, of the transits that are showing up. If we're operating from a place of lack of security, lack of self-confidence, lack of value in ourselves and what we have to offer, then we don't step into leadership roles with a gentle, harmonious energy. We step into those roles from a place of feeling like we actually are not capable. So we need to prove ourselves. We need to give other people what they want and please other people so that we can hold that position because we don't feel like we can hold it, or maybe feel like we don't even deserve it. So anything in your psychology that you've been resisting that is motivating your actions around money, assets, values, self-worth, that's going to come to light under this full moon. And you're going to find that you can go after what you want from a place of more confidence, more self-assuredness, because you're observing that part of yourself and not letting it fully run the show. And it's through the desire to have fun and play and be more authentic. And this is Venus in your 5th house. This is children. You want to be in that uninhibited freedom of playfulness. That's something that Capricorns can struggle more with. And Venus here is a lovely treat that's going to be like the carrot dangling for you to go after, and the reward of coming from a place of confidence and trust in your assets and trust in your ability to manage your energy and create balance with other people is going to give you more of that fun and pleasure. There could be definitely dating situations, romance, significant partnerships for Capricorns in the month of April. There could be a renewed sense of changing how you have been in relationships. And Jupiter going direct in your partnership house is the one that's giving you this burst. On top of that, having Venus in your fifth house is just more fun and play. And combining those two is very healing for relationships. So the more you can play, the more you can have fun, the more you can be uninhibited and see that you have value when you take off all the masks and you're not working towards productivity or gaining the recognition from other people, which could be that Libra 10th house quality. You also have the gift of gab right now. Mercury is now direct in your third house. You have gone through so much work in this house of communication, clearing things up, coming from a place of unconditional love. And at this time of the full moon, it's in beautiful trine with Jupiter in your seventh house. So communications in partnerships are going really well. They could feel dreamlike. You could be thinking about and talking about creating more of a relationship that aligns with a dream vision that you have, whether that's work or romantic relationships. Ultimately, Capricorn, this is about your public image, your status in the world, who you are out in the world versus who you are at home in your inner world, who you truly are, who you are at an authentic level, and who you are based on how you were raised by your family to be. And that's all breaking apart in different ways with this full moon. You're shedding old layers of fears that are holding you back, and your connections are strengthening, your work is strengthening. And there could be some positive sudden changes at home that bring in healing relationships because of this full moon connection to Jupiter in your seventh house. Lots of different possibilities for you, Capricorn. For everyone, this is going to be psychological observation and creating new action forward, dropping the masks, dropping the need to be accepted and received by other people, but not to the point that it's not that we shouldn't care what other people think. We always need to care about connection and what other people think, but we're doing it from a place of communication that's authentic, from not hiding the realness of our own emotional suppression, and accepting that we can bring other people's suppressed emotion and fears and desires for control and possession in the name of security, financial security and emotional security. And when we accept that in ourselves and in other people, there's a lot of healing that takes place at an energetic level, at a relationship level, and at a career and public image level for you, Capricorn. I would love to hear how this is going for you. It's so much fun chatting with you in the comments. So thank you for being there, for the likes, for the subscribes. And if you would like to book a one-on-one reading with me, I do Zoom calls. My booking link will be in the description below. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Aquarius. This is a ninth house full moon for you. So the axis of ninth and third is lit up. This is about your belief systems, your mindset. The third house, where the sun is your day-to-day mind, how you use your mind to gather ideas, data, intellectual pursuits are in the ninth house when it comes to how does that information matter? What are you using it for? Are you adjusting your perspectives of life? You might change your belief systems at this time. And it's coming from media you take in, media you put out potentially. If you're a writer, content creator, any of those things, there's a lot of energy in your third house for that. And you're going to have an insight, if that's the case, that is really profound on a bigger picture level. When it comes to a full moon in the ninth house, there's an aspect of experience and how that adds to the picture of your life. Venus is the ruler of this full moon, and she is in your fourth house of home and family lineage, the things that you adopted from your family, from the way that you were raised, and epigenetics. There's a chance that Foreign places could be involved. So you might be moving to a place that's foreign, and that is going to expand your mind and expand your perspective of the world. Jupiter is in your 6th house, squaring this full moon axis of 3rd and 9th. So Jupiter is here to heal something, to heal your daily routines, your habits, your work. You could have a lot of work coming up. You could have overseas work coming up, so you might have to travel, and that's part of the 9th house, foreign places, foreign people. There's going to be more to the travel than just a work trip, though. When you have a 9th house full moon, this is about changing your belief systems on something, gaining a different perspective. And with Libra, that will affect your relationships. It will affect balance and harmony in your belief systems. So if there's something that's extreme in how you view the world or your spiritual practices, this is a time of recalibration where you're figuring out maybe something that's actually more practical with this 6th house activation. There could be a need to expand this part of your life, but also add a layer of being humble. That's the 6th house, being of service with the work that you do and with your spiritual perspectives. If your spiritual practices are changing, then this is a time where you are going to be implementing practical steps that you can maintain, that are going to change your habits and your daily routines in a really positive way. And that could also affect your work in wonderful ways. It could affect the style of communication that you have, or media and content that you take in or put out. You are on a longer 3rd house journey, which is ultimately about communication. So those of you who are in media of some kind, that's going to be a bigger story as Saturn transits through there for the next 2 years and Neptune for about 14 years. This is making sure that what you say is grounded in facts. This is Saturn here in your 3rd house is going to make sure that you're doing what you need to be doing, that you're disciplined in your approach, that you're strategic. And the 9th house full moon can really highlight those extremes of perspectives, but it's also when we're filling in gaps that are false. And we get really excited about something and the brain just naturally does that. It can skip from one thing to the next. This is occurring, thus this must also be true kind of thing. And the 3rd house, where Saturn is, really wants you to check your facts. Make sure that you have all the detail. Make sure that you gather more information if you need to before you're selling something that doesn't have the foundation that it needs. Selling a belief system especially, or a spiritual practice, or anything that you're teaching, because the 9th house could rule that. So you could also have teachers come in or out of your life around this time. Venus in your 4th house is squaring Pluto in your sign. So no matter what's going on, this is really big transformation for you when it comes to relationships and your mindset around relationships. Not just romantic relationships, but that could be part of it. It's really how you interact with others in general. What is the higher purpose of relationships for you? Those are the sort of questions that you might be exploring now, as this type of energy really wants something that's meaningful, not just surface level. It wants spiritual connection with other people, or at least that you are moving in the same direction in life as far as your beliefs and the things you like to talk about, the things that you care about when it comes to media and conversations. Money could be a part of this too. So abundance, values, and mindset. You're transforming yourself, and it's the Aquarian part of yourself. So you are becoming more objective. You're adjusting the Aquarius part of you with Pluto here. Maybe adjusting is a bit light. You're radically purging and transforming old ways of being. So if you are an Aquarius that leans on the side of emotional detachment as a way of observing and gaining perspective and feeling different and outside of the group, things are going to happen over the next decade and more that are going to bit by bit break that down and change that Aquarian piece. If you have planets in Aquarius, this will be the same for those, and different qualities will apply. But for all Aquarians, this is really going to change your direction in life and change your default qualities that you innately reflex with. So when you're put under stress, do you detach? Do you come closer? Do you have conversations about things? Because the communication house is going through a longer journey as well, communication rather than detachment could be a really big theme. Venus's presence in your fourth house means that it's home-related matters. It could be communication with family. It could be changing the ways that you communicate based on how you were raised in your family system. And it could be internal family systems work, which is more about the internal configuration of what your psychological dialogue goes through on a regular basis. You've been going through eclipses in this scorpionic Pluto house, the 8th house. So the south node here is releasing old ways of dealing with your psychology. So a lot of you could be stepping into more awareness with Plutonian topics like hidden feelings, suppressed emotions. And I really think that that's a recurring theme for a lot of Aquarians. How beautiful is it to have the detached, higher perspective of life that an Aquarian does, an ability to be unique and put things together that are seemingly not connected, create art and media and communities that are based on something radically different and radical change, as well as that deep connection that some of these transits are calling for, communication, heartfelt openness, and whatever it takes to break open some of the deeper parts, which are often the hidden feelings that we carry and that motivate certain behaviors that can lead to lack of connection rather than the connection that we truly want. But again, this full moon is your 9th house. It's perspectives, it's your belief systems, it's foreign people, foreign places. You want to work on communication, mindset, day-to-day habits and routines, and how that feeds a bigger picture of your life. Aquarius, I would love to hear what's going on in your worlds. It's so much fun chatting with you in the comments. Thank you so much for hanging out here, liking, subscribing. And if you would like to book a one-on-one reading with me, my booking link is in the description below. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Pisces. This is an 8th house full moon for you. So the axis of 2nd and 8th. And that is about your energy. It's about your energy in relationships because this is the axis of Aries and Libra, the full moon in Libra. It's about how you receive, give and take, how you're supported by other people. Where the sun is, Saturn, Neptune, all in your 2nd house, this is your personal energy, your values, your self-worth, where you spend your energy, how you spend your money, how you grow your money, how you conserve your energy. With a full moon in the 8th house, this is a moment of change with support from other people. This could be psychological transformation. This is a time, especially where you're seeing things about balance in relationships as it pertains to your own psychology. The interesting thing with this full moon for you is that Jupiter is squaring it from your 5th house, which is authenticity, creativity, who you are in your childlike nature. Before you built walls of protection and being guarded and responsibilities and things you need to do as a human in the world, when we're a child, we are uninhibited and we can just play. That's what this house is about. This also rules your own children. So there could be some financial and energy management things to deal with when it comes to children. But if this is just about you, then very likely there's an element where you're realizing that the more authentic you are, the more you are, the better the energetic dynamics in your relationships are. The more resources you might receive, the more emotional, psychological support. You're going to be doing this yourself. So you're going to be finding that there are elements that you can return to, maybe hobbies and types of play that bring you back to your childhood. And that could be how you're going through more of a psychological upheaval and change at this time. Because Libra is your 8th house, and the ruler of that is Venus in your 3rd. So there's extra emphasis on communicating around relationships, communicating around values. It could be through relationships that you do your best psychological work. That's the case for many of us. I've always been of the mindset and the idea that relationships are like the little carrot being dangled in front of us. The desire to connect is one of the biggest things that drives our personal change, our personal reflection. It is one of the core emotional motivations that we have as a design, as a reptilian, mammalian brain design. So it's an instinct and a reflex. And it's that is driving you to change something about your energetic balance. You've been going through this for a while, Pisces, just in different ways, especially with the North Node in your sign and Saturn and Neptune finishing their visit there. Venus in your third house, back to this communication piece. This is about your daily mental habits and how they manifest into a bigger psyche, subconscious that's driving your decisions every day. So think a lot about the small things, the things that occupy your mind that seem insignificant but are actually quite big. That is creating more of this hidden psychology expansion for you. Pluto in your 12th house will go retrograde in May, and you're going to do even more of that then. But this is a moment where something comes into a line of tension around communications, likely to do with relationships, that helps you become more aware of these hidden psychological patterns. So you're integrating that differently. You're bringing it into an energy of strength. And that is helping you bond more deeply in intimate ways in your closest relationships. That's what a full moon in the 8th house ultimately can do. It's psychological work, but it's increasing our capacity for intimacy and deep, profound bonding. Jupiter in your 5th house can be enhancing a lot of fun and play right now. When Venus and Jupiter are in hard angle to other planets, there's usually a moment of overdoing something that's pleasurable because Jupiter and Venus bring the most pleasure, the most fun. They are abundant and expansive qualities. But a full moon in Libra wants everything to be in balance, and good things must be paced as well. So there could be an element of that where you're enjoying yourself, you're having a lot of fun, maybe even communication gets a little carried away, and that becomes something to reflect on. And these things are purposeful. When planets like Venus and Jupiter are in squares, it's not that we're necessarily meant to completely be moderate in a time that's calling for intensity. It's that we need to observe this intensity and take away from it so that in the long run, we're creating more balance in our lives. But enjoy it. Enjoy the pleasure, the joy, the fun. If that's what's happening, you might have new dating opportunities that lead to deepening this intimacy and bonding at a deeper level than what you have done before. You have Mars in your sign still for a little bit longer, and Mercury is now direct in your sign. So this is another layer where the gift of gab and focusing on your communication is enhanced right now. Venus in your 3rd house is the other element. It could also be through media and writing, your own communication, your own thought patterns, but media that you take in is also really important in transforming at a psychological level, transforming your relationships and building more intimacy and depth that's equal, and it's creating harmony. So don't be afraid of going into some of those very real moments. Ultimately, it does create more harmony and more joy, and somehow more fun for Pisces people. This could be a creative project as well. This is the type of energy that puts Pisces creativity on high. Could be something that you are gaining more abundance from. That's the 2nd and 8th house axis where this full moon is. It's an axis of abundance and money and understanding that your self-worth for the art and creativity that you put into the world matters. And it looks like you're getting a good boost for that. So for Pisces people, this is a lot of hidden psychological stuff coming to the surface. You are an expert now in managing your own energy and having a really healthy container for that and tapping into your intuitive abilities, which is already naturally high for Pisces people. So this is a moment where you're also very well equipped to go into more psychological exploration. There could be themes of death and birth at the full moon, but this is more about transformational rebirth. And we go through tons of incremental tiny deaths throughout our lives as we transform into new people and we expose and open up new layers of who we are as humans. So ultimately, this looks very creative. It looks very beneficial for your relationships, and a new flow of writing or speaking communication is looking really good for Pisces people out there too. I would love to hear how this is going for you, Pisces. So much fun chatting with you in the comments. So thank you so much for joining me there and helping these videos come alive. If you would like a one-on-one reading with me, my booking link will be in the description below. Have a wonderful full moon. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Aries, this is a partnership full moon for you. Something is very likely changing with significant partnerships in your life, probably relating to home because Jupiter is in your fourth house of home and family, the place that you came from, the way that your parents raised you, the person you became because of the genetics that were passed down to you, the epigenetics. Jupiter is now moving forward, and you're going to find that there's healing expansion happening here. You could be moving to a new home. You could be changing partnerships and moving in, moving out. It's going to be different for everyone. But Aries, you are going through some of the biggest changes right now with Neptune, Saturn in your sign. Soon you're going to have your ruler Mars in your sign, along with Mercury. With Mercury in your 12th house, this looks to me like a lot of intuition. Typically, Mercury in your 12th house can be a bit foggy, and maybe it is, but it's in beautiful angle of trine with Jupiter. And that is giving me the impression that maybe there's overseas home and moving. That could be possible. But for most people, it's going to feel like intuitive expansion, understanding of the energy that you're bringing to your life and how that affects your home life, how that affects the actual home that you live in, the people you live with. There's a responsibility here that's developing with the North Node in your 12th house too, where you are enhancing this energetic connection and you're bringing more optimal Pisces qualities like unconditional love and an understanding that all things are connected and the energy essence of things really matters. It could be inspiring your action and transforming how you initiate things in your life because you are the archetype of initiation and action. But now with Mars here, there's a sense of responsibility around the things that you do. And I think that it speaks to this awareness of the energetic impact that there could be a reconfiguring, a restructuring with Saturn of what your initial reactive and initiating energy is all about. If you're coming from a place of unconditional love and compassion and clarity, then the words and the energy and the way it's received can go really well. If we're coming from a place of threat or fear or a need to protect, then it doesn't really matter what we say. The energy can be picked up on by other people, and that can create disharmony. So because this is a relationship full moon for you, I think a lot of it is going to play out in your one-on-one relationships, the people that are important in your life, the people that you have long-term contracts with. The ruler of this moon is Venus in your second house. This is great for your abundance, your assets. There could be a challenging transformation psychologically with the groups that you're a part of, maybe audience. It doesn't have to be challenging. It could just be quick. There could be something about your values and your assets and your possessions and your self-worth that is changing right now with Venus's visit here. And that is creating a purging of communities and groups. If this is relationship connected and your significant relationships are changing, then sometimes that means the bigger communities that we are a part of change as well. And if that's the case, it looks like it's because your values are no longer aligning with where you've been. Your self-worth is no longer aligning with where you've been, and you're changing things. You're like this I said, with this Saturn, you're stepping into a bigger responsibility of self than you have in probably 30 years, if you've been around that long to think about the last time Saturn was in this part of your chart. If your values are going through some adjustments right now, I expect that there's a lot of questions around what's fair, what's balanced, what's harmonious, what is equal give and take, and what feels beautiful. That's one of the elements with having Libra in your seventh house, is that there's a quality of beauty and enjoyment with Venus being the ruler. And with Venus in your second house, it's all of those things that are coming into question with your values. And your self-worth. You're going to be thinking about your self-worth and your finances and your relationships and how those all play together, likely through the energy that you're showing up with, because that's the bigger influence with Pluto in your 12th house. All of these transits that we've gone through with Pisces that have been 12th house focused for you. So it's your subconscious, it's your connection to all things, it's hidden realms and the things that you did not see or notice about yourself before that are expanding now. And with that expanded awareness comes that restructuring of self, restructuring of partnerships. Things are shifting in the major axes for you, Aries. So this is a significant full moon, a significant time of change, contemplation. But really, I think that you've been going through a lot of the contemplation part with a lot of this Pisces focus. You've been probably spending more time in solitude, in meditation, away from the rest of the world, in different capacities for everyone. But that's certainly going to be a quality that is creating a lot of motivation to move forward now. And from March 20th until July, we have a pretty open place of all planets moving direct. Pluto will go retrograde on May 6th, but Pluto retrograde is really not a big thing for generally moving forward on projects and things we want to create in our lives, new relationships, new ways of being in relationships. So I will add that your relationships might not be changing, but the way that you show up in them is going to be changing for most Aries people out there. Even if it feels small, it probably will have a pretty big ripple effect in about 6 months to a year time. I would love to hear how Aries people are doing. How are you feeling with Saturn and Neptune in your sign now? You're going to have Mars along shortly, your ruler, which is going to give you so much zest. There could be some points of tension with Mars and Saturn coming together in April. But it's a igniting moment of this restructuring of discipline and how you initiate your world and the actions that you take. So be an observer right now and see what it is about yourself that's changing and how that's setting the stage for relationships moving forward to be different too. Thank you for being here. Thank you for chatting with me in the comments and filling me in on your lives. And if you would like to book a one-on-one reading with me, my booking link will be in the description below. Have a wonderful full moon in your house of partnerships, and I will see you next time. Hi, Taurus. This full moon is in your sixth house, but first of all, I want to talk about your ruler, Venus, back at home in your sign. This is a wonderful time for any kind of physical appearance upgrades. This is about how you are perceived by other people. And the way I like to describe it is that over the course of the year, while Venus transits around the zodiac and has been in your sign last, there have been energetic changes. You're a new person. Your liver has regenerated. Your organs have and your cells have gone through regeneration. But it's a time where you get to have your outer appearance catch up in really positive ways. So this is a wonderful time to get a new look, a haircut. If any of you have been getting any sort of cosmetic upgrades, this is also positive for that. New clothes, anything that you feel drawn to. You might even have really good luck with shopping or finding a new hairdresser or whatever it is that is on your agenda for physical appearance. With this type of energy, if you have work stuff going on where you need to make a good impression, or anything in life where you want to make a good impression, this is a good time. The full moon in your sixth house is about health routines, work routines, the monotonous day-to-day things that we do to take care of our lives, to take care of ourselves. This is a house where we find service to other people. So if you are helping other people out or you're of service in any way, the full moon here could bring a culminating point. So there might be something ending with one of your routines. If you've had health concerns, this could be a resolution period where you find improved health, especially with your ruler back at home in your first house, which rules body. So it's like a clicking moment where things click into place with your physical body. The moon is also representative of body. So there's some overlap there too. Opposing the moon in your 12th house, we have Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, and the sun. This speaks to uncovering more subconscious material, very likely. This is about the energetic realms. This is stuff that's been hidden. So something could come to light at the time of the full moon when the sun is in this part of your chart. And it could be something hidden that comes to the surface that changes your health, changes your work, your routines, or service to yourself or service to someone else. This is the 12th house where the sun is also overseas places. So you could get news from overseas that changes something about your routines and your work. For most people out there, it's going to have an energetic quality, which is about endings, intuitive connection, the energy that connects all things. There's a very faded past life karmic kind of energy in the 12th house as well. Though this is not an eclipse with 12th house activity, you could be reaching a karmic ending or a karmic period of culmination with work and 6th house health related. This is habits as well. So it looks like your habits are influenced by more energetic intention now, perhaps more meditation. This is a wonderful way to use this energy. You could be getting into more meditative routines. Energy healing would be strong with a signature like this. Reiki, getting into that type of routine with yourself every day, perhaps finding a practitioner, but with a 6th house full moon, this is about what you do on a daily basis. And that's one of the things I've found with energy healing is that it's wonderful to go to a practitioner who's highly skilled and to be that passive participant. But it's even better to have that skill ourselves and be able to attune our energy into a healthy or functional, rather, with the 6th house. I would say that you're tuning your energy into something that's more functional and especially relational, because we're talking about a full moon in Libra. So it is a relational, harmonic balance between you and the people that are in your daily life. This could be coworkers. This could just be anyone that you spend your day-to-day time with. And this could also have to do with just topics of routine, because this is a day-to-day life. So you might have agreements that you need to come to in partnerships of how you're going to spend your day-to-day time. What does that look like? Sometimes it is not ideal for both parties. We need to figure out which activities you're going to do together, which parts of the daily care of the home each person is going to take if this is a living situation. So it's these types of conversations where you're figuring out a new level of contribution of all parties involved in your day-to-day activities. And it's about fairness. And you're finding this from a more intuitive place right now. You're also finding this from a place of letting go and giving in a little bit. So there's contradictory and fine-tuning, balancing energy to do with how much we just go with the flow and how much we assert our own will. And this sometimes comes down to communication techniques. So that's why I linked the video below for Jefferson Fisher Conversation Techniques. He just released a new book, and it is those tiny, very applicable skills that can make a huge difference in how we negotiate and meet in the middle. And the 12th house, because that's where the sun is, and Saturn and Neptune, you're learning new restructuring and lessons around release and letting go and endings, and sometimes giving in. Though Libra in your 6th house, is about giving in to other people's needs too much and not finding your own balance in the service that you provide in the world, the work that you do, your health routines. It's going to be different for each person. Birth charts are all different. So if you want more information, it's always best to get a full reading with what your birth chart looks like in relation to this energy. But hopefully you can pick out some themes that feel applicable to what you're going through and feel a bit more settled in whatever's showing up with these routine changes. Back to Venus in your first house and Venus in your sign. She's squaring Pluto in your 10th house. And in this case for you, I still think that it is a wonderful position to have Venus in for everyone because she's at home in Taurus. She's at her best when it comes to financial decisions too, and the sense of security. But there's something in your career, reputation, your status, who you are out in the world. It's very linked to the way that people perceive us in our first house, but slightly different. There's something completely transforming with how you assert your authority. It's a small nuance, but the first house is about how you initiate action by instinct. What is that survival mechanism that kicks in, that pang steps work of our core instincts, our core emotions? These happen before cognitive realization. So that's the first house. It's prior to cognitive assessment that we assert and react and act out in the world. And then the 10th house is more of a professional persona that we put on. The first house can be a persona that other people perceive us as. So persona is applicable in both. But again, the first house is not as much in our control. It's just who we are and how other people see our energy, our first impressions that hold before we say anything and communicate who we are or who we think we are or who we are in that moment. The 10th house is about our more action-based, the way that we have created a foundation to act appropriately in business, to act appropriately with family members, with friends. With the 10th house and the house of Capricorn, there's a very methodical approach to this part of visibility in our world. And that's why it also rules status and career, because those are cognitive choices. Those are things that we took action towards and it turned into something because of that conscious building towards something, because Capricorn also has that element, the 10th house, where Pluto is. I really wanted to get into those distinctions for the first and 10th house for you because that's what's under tension. And as positive as this Venus in your first house is, there's something instinctual that really needs to be observed about self, and that has the power to completely transform the choices you make for the authority that you hold out in the world, the action that you take to build towards your goals, whether that's work or if you're not working, that you will have other goals in life that you are building towards, climbing the ladder towards. You're building a foundation from the bottom up, that you want people to see you as this particular person, whether that's a status or an action or a role you have out in the world. Capricorn, the 10th house, is also about your roles. So think about that. What is it that people perceive based on how you act instinctually that you may be less aware of? This is a default mechanism. And then who you are based on this more conscious action. And you're opening up this whole 12th house piece that also has a lot to do with unconscious material. So for Tauruses out there, there's a lot of overlap with how you think you're perceived, how you choose to be perceived, the energy that's coming through that, what people actually really see, which is up to the individual. We don't have a lot of control over that. But you're going to be thinking about what you do have control over, how much you want to give out in the world, how much you want to be of service to others, how much you want to be of service to yourself. How do you balance routines and choices with other people when you're building towards something? If it's a me versus we and your needs versus another person's needs, or your health versus someone else's health that needs attention, time, care, and a specific routine. We also have Mercury in trine with Jupiter, and that is expansive communication. For you, this is also in a part of your chart that rules audience and groups of people and communities you're a part of. So I think that a lot of Tauruses are going to find that this is a wonderful time to get out there, be seen, do public speaking if you're being called to that, whatever it is. It could really benefit your work, and it could bring you to a whole new level of status and achievement and reward and a new sense of self as a result. But it's going to be different for each of you. I would love to hear how this is showing up in your personal life. Thank you so much for chatting with me in the comments and hanging out for this video, liking and subscribing. And if you would like a one-on-one reading with me, check out my booking link in the description below. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Gemini. This is a 5th house full moon for you. This is all about children, fun, play, romance, dating. This is a house that represents your authentic expression, who you are as a creative human being, who you were as a child that was uninhibited and free to play and have fun. And how can you get back to that at whatever stage of life you're at and balance real life responsibilities, the personas that we need to put on to be out with other people, and then that piece of authenticity. The 11th house is where the sun is in opposition, and Saturn and Neptune, Chiron, you're about to go on a longer journey of Saturn and Neptune in your 11th house. This has to do with people on a shared mission as you. People that are here to support you, your communities, your networks, your allies. These are acquaintances and larger groups, audience if you have them. This is a moment where you could join new groups of people that are part of hobbies you want to take on or creative projects. And there's a real element of being able to transform your mindset, your beliefs about the world. Pluto is in your 9th house in good aspect to this full moon, and this adds that element of transforming your beliefs about the world and who you are, what you think about the world based on your experiences. And it looks like it's experiences with other people, with hobbies, with fun, with creative projects that is shifting your mindset. You could also be teaching in some way, and that could be expanding your audience. That could be adding to that layer of creativity and fun and playfulness that you're adding to whatever you're teaching. And same thing if you have a new teacher come into your life, regardless of who that teacher is, whether they're an actual teacher or that friend in a group that's disguised as an important spiritual teacher in our lives. There will be a layer of uncovering more authentic expression and fun in who you are. And this could have to do with actual children, in which case there's a change of perspective. Maybe your child is following an academic pursuit of some kind and changing communities, and this could have to do with that as well, your involvement as a parent. Venus is in your 12th house in square with this Pluto in your 9th. So this is about time away. Most likely for a lot of people, this is going to be a much needed break. Venus here, there could be, I suppose in some cases, though, Venus in Taurus is a very positive place for Venus to be, but in square with Pluto in your 9th house, there could be some costs for school if that's the case for a small few of you, and then that would be money that's dissipating, but for a very good cause. The 12th house is about dissolving. It can change what was, and Venus is your 12th house ruler, so it's more about dissolving your subconscious for most people at an energetic level. And as you dissolve something that's been an unconscious, subconscious block or a block to your intuition, it's also transforming your 5th house of creativity. And that's because Venus is also the ruler of your 5th house, where Libra is. So there's a strong likelihood that many of you are getting more intuitive connection to your creation, to your ability to feel authentic. You're just getting something. You're not even really needing to think about it. That could be the 12th house. You're just tuning in to a different frequency, a different energy source that's more pleasure, more fun, more creativity. And it could have to do with your abundance mindset as well. So for Geminis, this chart looks a lot like all roads lead to mindset changes, perspective changes. There could be actual overseas adventures. The ninth house where Pluto is foreign places, foreign people, and foreign lands. And this is all foreign because it's something that is not innate to us. So we're learning from this foreign experience. Whereas the 12th house is overseas places that are more of a time out, a retreat. It could be meditation retreats, but this is an escape from the real world. There could be some overseas experience in store for some Geminis. Whether you're traveling or not, this is a chance to shift your perspective and perhaps enjoy a time out. Maybe you're enjoying a bit of a break or a holiday or something that's getting you away from work, and that's helping you feel more rested. So you're tapping into more creativity and opening up some subconscious layers and changing your perspective in some ways. Finances and abundance, even if you are dissolving some source of income with Venus in your 12th house, or something about money and what you value with money might be changing, what you value with yourself even. But your ruler, Mercury, is in trine with Jupiter in your second house, which is wonderful for financial gains. This is a huge boost of self-worth. This is wonderful for public image. So you could be doing something in career and public that gives you a boost in your financial gain or your self-confidence in what you do. The second house is about self-love too. It's not just confidence, but it is a love for this earthly experience and us being a part of it. It is appreciation for the source of energy that runs through our body, that we have the ability to share this with other people. That's this definition of abundance. It just so happens that financial abundance goes along with this connection to love and source and tapping into that well of energy and appreciation for this life, even when it's hard, even when it's challenging, even when conflicts arise. So I love this for Geminis, for getting out in the public, a boost of your purpose in the world. You're feeling self-assured. You're tapping into creativity. You might even be having a lot more fun. There could be conflicts in your belief systems and opening up subconscious layers that momentarily feels challenging, but it looks like it's very quickly or at the exact same time very rewarding in amplifying your assets and how you feel about yourself and your ability to be free and creative and connect with like-minded people. But you let me know, Gemini. I would love to hear how this is showing up in the real world. It's so much fun to hear those stories in the comments. So thank you so much for being there, for watching this video, for liking, subscribing. It really all means so much. And if you would like to book a one-on-one with me, my link will be in the description. Have a wonderful full moon in your 5th house of play. Geminis are going to be having a bit more fun than everyone else, or just a lot of fun. Lots of people will be enjoying this full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Cancer. This is a 4th house full moon, so this is your domain. Your 4th house, if you base it on whole sign house system, and otherwise, most likely, Libra. So this is about harmony at home, which makes so much sense for a Cancer. Home is important. Home is your safety place. Family is important. This could be chosen family. This doesn't have to be your birth family, but a full moon in this part of your chart can also represent the place that you came from, the home that you were raised in, the town that you were raised in, the current home you live in, your family, emphasis on your mother. This is a place of nurturing an inner world. And inner world as it was passed down to you from your family members. This could be a culminating point, an ending with a home. You could be moving due to career because you have all of these planets in the 10th house of career and visibility out in the world. This is who you are as an authority, as a leader. How do you represent yourself in terms of the work that you've done, the places that you've been, the foundations that you've created, the goals that you have been working towards and are working towards. This could be a time of achievement and reward and recognition with Saturn, Neptune, and the Sun in your 10th house. With Chiron finishing its journey here, for a lot of Cancers, there will be an element of the wounded healer. What sensitivities do you have around being out in the public? How does that affect your psyche when you think about being in a powerful position because of the job that you've done, the way that you've earned it through the hard work that you've put into this world? How do you connect with existing structures, systems of hierarchy, and the systems that we have in place that help the world function? These are all topics covered under the 10th house and that are coming into a reset right now, a big new cycle starting with Saturn and Neptune's conjunction here. If you want more information on that, I will link a few of the videos on Saturn and Neptune in Aries that I've created. But for this full moon, there's something about your inner world and the way that you were raised and your family and maybe your home that's changing in relation to this work, career, achievement part of your life. In the period between our last new moon in Pisces and this full moon culminating in Libra, we have had Jupiter squaring Venus in your sign and the 10th house. And I talked about this a little bit in the last new moon video. That is also linked below. But now that that's over, there might be some reflection because Venus was in your 10th house where I've been talking about all this other career goal and who you are out in the world, your reputation when it comes to leadership and authority, those sort of things. And a Venus-Jupiter square is often an overdoing of pleasure of some kind, an overdoing of money. This could be reward and recognition in a really positive way that came quickly and came out of nowhere. Venus and Jupiter are beneficial planets. Jupiter is at its most beneficial degree in your sign and having station direct, so it has that extra power of benefit. But that square conversation could be something of tension. And it has made me wonder for a while with Cancers out there if there's some resistance to being seen, if there's resistance to being out in the public and being a leader on a bigger scale with 11th house topics like having a bigger audience or having a leadership role in a community that you're a part of. So now that Venus has moved on to your 11th house, this is where you have the opportunity to align with groups and communities that benefit you, especially as they relate to Venus, like groups that have to do with feminine energy or yin energy in some way, receiving. Venus in your 11th house could also be about networks that are connected to your values when it comes to home and the people that you want to spend your time with. So there's a very likely a thought process and a reflection of what you want these communities to look like. And now with Venus in this part of your chart, you get to see that come to fruition or see something blossom and align with people that share your values, share your sense of financial abundance and assets and worth and fun and play, and a sense of safety because Venus is the ruler of your 4th house as well. So there's a connection to a sense of feeling at home with the communities and networks you're a part of, or finding a new home through those communities and networks, something that connects those two parts of your life. Pluto is in positive connection to this full moon, and Pluto's in your 8th house turning your psyche upside down. This is psychological purging. I see a lot of Cancers with this Jupiter in the first house, Pluto in your eighth house. Jupiter in your first house will expand who you are. Pluto in your eighth house will highlight all of this psychological, energetic stuff to process, integrate, release. This is also a time where you're more fascinated with psychological things, and as a result, who you are out in the world and your instincts and your impulses could be changing, healing, and transforming with this Jupiter in your first house. So this is another moment of activation, though, where something to do with your psyche, your deep, intimate bonds, the ways that you connect on an energetic level with other people, your subconscious is going through a reforming. And because Pluto is in Aquarius, this naturally can put Cancers at a bit of an observing, distant place from their own psyche and that of others. And sometimes maybe shying away for some of you from conversations and exposing some of this stuff. This is a time as well with Mercury in your ninth house of Pisces in positive aspects to the Jupiter in your sign. It's encouraging opening up of this dialogue, opening up of your perspectives, even teaching your perspectives. So there's communication that's on high right now. A lot of indication of visibility for Cancers out there, sharing your perspectives, getting in touch with your psyche, getting in touch with the shadow parts of yourself, of your subconscious and hidden feelings that you don't need on a daily basis. But this is a time where you're connecting to all of it, and it's helping your perspectives. It's helping your abundance, your psychological health, your physical health, probably with Jupiter in your sign. And it's getting you ready for big changes out in career, status, who you are out in the world, your reputation, how the public views you, and likely expanding the communities that are part of that audience in some way, even if they are communities for fun and other things you have in life. I would love to hear from Cancers. How are you feeling with these moon cycles? What's going on right now that's helping you be out in the public more, maybe changing your inner world, changing your actual home, finding new layers of security, and finding that through facing some of those plutonic psychological shifts that are really shifting who you are in really big ways with Jupiter in your sign. Thank you for checking out this video, for those comments. It's fun chatting with you there. Have a wonderful full moon. And if you would like a one-on-one reading with me, my booking link is in the description below. I'll see you next time. Hi, Leo. This is a third house full moon for you. So this is all about communication, close relatives, siblings, neighborhood, transportation, short distance travel, media, but for most people, this is communication and media. The writing that you do, that you put out in the world, the media you put out, what you take in, and how you communicate. Is it effective? You are one of the signs that could really be tuning in to some media material on how to improve communication. Jefferson Fisher is the one that I quoted in the introduction with his new book out, and the link to the video interview with him and Jay Shetty is one where he shares some really cool tips and pointers for some of those crucial conversations, the ones that really matter when we're under pressure. We need to practice skills so that we're not defaulting into a reaction that isn't ultimately creating more harmony and balance on that Aries Libra scale. As a Leo, you naturally have Libra in the third house, which makes your communication very Venusian, depending on other placements in your chart, like where your Mercury is, which is going to be in Leo, Cancer, or Virgo. So those can have different elements. And a few of you could have Mercury in Gemini or Libra. But for all right now, the Libra themes of eloquent communication, clear, is it in harmony with listening to what other people need and listening to other people in general, and then responding from a place of having heard whether we actually hear someone or not, if it's not validated with the right communication and the right pause and taking the time, they might not feel like they were heard. And so there are some skills that can be put in place to improve and harmonize this part of your life. If you are putting media out for work or anything else, this is the time where you are improving the quality of that. There are many themes of tuning in with intuitive clairvoyance, energetic type activity, shifting any type of avoidant, dissociative behavior. Mercury, Mars, and the North Node are in your 8th house. This is where we just had a new moon. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. Mercury and Mars are in trine with Jupiter in your 12th house. This is an expansion of intuitive ability. This is an expansion of awareness of your blind spots, of subconscious material, of triggers perhaps that happen at a psychological hidden reflex level that automatically connect us to a dissociated moment. Been observing this in myself a lot where it's not even a choice. I can observe myself doing it, but it's a reflex where something happens that's uncomfortable and I automatically want to distract or go into some other type of activity to avoid that uncomfortable feeling. So you could be healing that because this is a really beautiful energy. So you're putting more communication and daily awareness to 8th house topics. This is Mercury's presence here, but this has to do with intimacy, with deep bonding, with your own psyche and merging with other people. And how do you do that in a way that you stay really aware of what's going on? These are water signs for you, and you have Pisces in the 8th house, which can mean that these 8th house things are even more hidden for Leo people, that there's a harder to grasp fog around observing your own psyche. But that's been changing a lot. You've had a lot of activity here. This new moon that we just had was one of the last big moments, but we still have the North Node here that's really encouraging this exploration for you. And more situations will continue to help bring this to light and bring this into focus. The moon is in your 3rd house, but higher wisdom and knowledge and your belief systems are what are also being called into this full moon axis. So the 9th house is where the sun is, Saturn, Neptune, and you're bringing in 8th house things into your higher perspective and vision for the world based on experience. Neptune is the ruler of your 8th house. Saturn is the ruler of your 6th and 7th. And the sun is your ruler. So this is extra important that you're putting everything into your vision of the world, what really matters at a spiritual level, and maybe what you can teach and show others, or a teacher coming into your life. Saturn ruling your 6th and 7th house means that your habits, your routines, your health, your partnerships, your work, these are all also tied into the topics. And your focus right now comes down to communication. You're doing all of this work, you're paying attention to your psyche. You might have relationships that are the platform for this. You might have work where you need to do this. And how do you express that into material, into media, with other people? These are the things you're going through. Definitely a wonderful time to find any type of media training, communication training that you want to do and use to enhance the work that you're putting out in the world. You have Venus in your 10th house in square with Pluto in your 7th house. Venus is the ruler of this moon, so this comes back down to communication, and Venus is about security, relationships, abundance, enjoyable things, and pleasure in life. When it's squaring Pluto in your relationship house, topics of self-worth and pleasure and beauty and money, how you spend money and how you create money are going to be important. This could be business relationships, this could be romantic relationships, marriages. These are long-term committed partnerships that are the platform for transformation. And Pluto is psychological transformation. It's that 8th house scorpionic stuff again. So these are the themes that are coming up over and over again. It's how your psyche, your blind spots, your subconscious is operating. How is it operating as it relates to your communication and your daily mindset and your daily habits and your daily work? And how is it working for you, or potentially blockages that have been holding you back in the past when it comes to assets and security in relationships. This is talking about at a heart level and in a physical, actual, practical, Taurian pleasure out in the world experience. Taurus is the ruler of your 10th house, which can talk about awards and achievement and recognition for the work that you've already done as well. Venus here in her domicile, in her home sign in Taurus, is really wonderful for the limelight, for you, for being seen in a really positive way. So anything that you want to do for career or anything else that puts you in the spotlight and puts you visible out in the world, your status could change under this full moon, and it could have to do with the communication efforts that you've already put in. You let me know, Leo. I would love to hear how this is playing out for you. It's so much fun hearing the real life experiences in the comments. So thank you for that. Thank you for checking out this video, liking, subscribing. If you would like a one-on-one reading with me, check out my booking link in the description below. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Virgo. This full moon is on your financial axis. This is your 2nd house of your self-worth, your abundant mindset, your overall abundance and energy that you have to put out in the world. The sun with Saturn and Neptune conjoining in your 8th house. This is potentially an opportunity where other people's resources that support you are coming in for a new cycle. You have Jupiter squaring this axis from your 11th house. Jupiter is here to heal this financial axis of your life. This 2nd and 8th house axis is also about how you manage your energy and how you receive energy from other people. That's the receiving support part. But when you manage your own really well, so we're talking about Libra 2nd house, you're not pouring it into what other people need in order to gain self-worth or financially or whatever it is. That naturally happens in life, but a healthy shift of intention is to have balance. It's not about our gains from making other people feel better. It's about finding that middle ground. The 8th house can be about deep, intimate bonds, and that's where the middle ground can sometimes be more obvious. So when relationships come up, it is more apparent if there's one side that's giving too much and one side that's considering the other person's needs too much, or vice versa. And it changes all the time. It's not always so straightforward. There are moments where it could be an extreme with one and extreme with the other. But you're considering this reset of how you receive support, how much you lean on other people, how much you connect with others. Virgos are the sign of service. So you could be leaning on the side of serving others and being independent and not always getting the help that you need. From a psychological perspective, this is deep psyche work. This is seeing on a projector your subconscious, what you have stuffed down. Be patient if that's coming up and if it's being triggered by communities, audience you're a part of. Jupiter is ultimately healing the 11th house and expanding it. So it's expanding the communities, networks that you're a part of. This is wonderful for like-minded people and connecting with allies and people who can really support you. So I think ultimately a lot of Virgos are getting more support, and this is a moment where you start to see that come in. If you have not been aligned with the right people, there could be something that shifts in your awareness of this give and take balance of energy and resources that becomes an ending of something that you've been spending money on. Venus is the ruler of this full moon, and Venus is the ruler of Libra and Taurus. And currently in the sign of Taurus, which is your ninth house of perspectives, beliefs about the world, your experiences, teachers that you have in your life, the teaching that you do out in the world. You could be finding your worth and your value in being a teacher, or you could have a teacher that comes in and shows you really what you are worth. You could be getting paid to teach with a signature like this. You could have resources that are going into a new academic program or learning of some kind. And this is going to be an investment, really. This is the type of money that you're spending to gain more when you have a full moon on the second and eighth house axis, and the ruler of this moon being Venus in your ninth house of teaching or academia and learning new things. The ninth house is about foreign places, foreign people. So there could be some money coming in and some gains from that. Communication is really important at the time of this full moon for everyone. For you, Mercury is your ruler, and the ruler of your 10th house, which is your public image and recognition for the work that you do. And Mercury is currently in your 7th house of partnerships, in beautiful connection trine to Jupiter in your 11th house. So it looks like communication with a significant person in your life could be changing your communities, changing your audience, expanding your audience and community. But it does come back to how you show up with other people, the language that you use, and the communication that sets you apart. It also is communication that could be deepening your most intimate bonds, with Mercury in your 7th house of partnerships, and then the Sun and this new Saturn-Neptune cycle in your 8th house of intimacy. So for Virgos, your significant partnerships play a big role. How you value yourself, how you manage your assets, your money, your possessions, how you receive support from other people. Using your own assets for something could shift, and you could be gaining more support from others. You could be suddenly getting more abundance from an audience with Jupiter squaring this axis, but there is a lot to do with the communities that you're a part of, the networks, how you relate to people, and how you value yourself. Where is your sense of safety? How safe do you feel going after the things that you want in the material world? How safe do you feel experiencing pleasure and experiencing connection with others that is deep and profound and transformative in your 8th house, as well as your own psyche that naturally will go through that process too. Some of you could be stepping into teaching roles, or have a female even come in that is a positive influence in your life. Overseas connections are part of this. It is about what you value right now, Virgo. You're reassessing what really matters. You are potentially letting go of certain possessions at this full moon, and that's helping you get where you want to be with partnerships, with connections, with audience. Venus in your 9th house, when it comes to teaching and overall perspectives in the world, is squaring Pluto in your 6th house. So there's something about your perspective changing, people coming in to help your perspective change, foreign places, foreign people, that is affecting the health and the day-to-day life of Virgos. This is your domain where Pluto is. We're going through this bigger upheaval with reconfiguring your service in the world, how you take care of you at a full moon like this, how you take care of your health and your routines and manage your energy when it comes to work. There's a psychological shift that's helping this process. And it really is speaking to mindset changes. So be patient with any of the psychological work that's showing up. It's showing up for everyone. And it looks like for Virgos, it's really helping you see what you bring to the table and your value as a teacher, with the work that you're putting out as a member of your community, and potentially other areas too. Relationships could be a strong piece for a lot of Virgos because we've had so much activity in Pisces, your 7th house. Relationships could definitely be a strong focus for a lot of Virgos. But you let me know. I would love to hear how this is playing out for you. Thank you so much for making the comments come alive with real life stories. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and just hanging out for this video. Have a wonderful full moon in your second house. I hope you're feeling abundant and more energy, and any energy leaks or drains from other people are coming to an end. I'll see you next time.